Okay, this is your first task of the day. On each of your tables, you'll see a little Post-it note, or a pack of Post-it notes. Right in the middle, each table has a different color. Don't know if you've ever put much thought into this lately, or never ever thought of this, potentially, but want to know a little bit more about you. And as you fill this out, if you want to use 10 of these Post-it notes, feel free. And at the first break, I'm going to have you post them up here on the mirror where it says, why you're a PGA professional. But on that Post-it note, and again, if you need to use 2 or 3 more, please write down why you are a PGA professional. To rephrase it, why did you become a PGA professional? Why did you want to get into golf? Why do you do what you do every morning? Why does anybody care you get out of bed and do what you do? But why are you a PGA member? Versus, anybody need a pen? It can be short, it can be longer. Take a moment. It's the epitome of there's no wrong answer, obviously. But just think about, why did you become a PGA professional? Why are you a PGA member each and every day? Why do you go into your job each and every day? It's a little different than goals. This is a why question. And this is one of the key words of today, why. Why are you a PGA professional? No pressure, but if anybody would love to just hear some input from a couple of you, anybody want to hear it, Leo?
Connect people and create relationships.
Very good. I like that a lot. Yes.
I love learning new things about people. I love learning from people.
Chris, up here.
Help others enjoy the game that I love.
I said almost the same thing. I said to be around the game I love and to help others enjoy it.
How about a couple more? Anybody? Kevin?
Just a few sentences.
Good job.
I just had it for the love of the game of golf. You know, I've been around it all my life. It's like part of me.
It's my career.
How about one more?
I decided to make my passion my profession.
Perfect time of year. Because usually I hear the P word, passion, a lot. It's just interesting doing 20-something of these workshops, and at this moment, I don't care what section I've been in, the cross-section of PGA members, you hear love of the game, the passion, helping others. It's really a lot of the same bucket phrases, and it's heartwarming to hear. You'd hope you want to hear that. And we have another exercise coming up in a few minutes, but through the day, if you think back to this why resonates throughout the day with everything we do. So it's good to hear all these whys later today. I don't know if many of you, any of you, none of you, which is great, would want to change that why, would want to change what you wrote down. But as we go through today, again with some growth mindset, right? Open to some new ideas, some new ways of thinking. can look back on that. On my phone here, every single, oh, there it is, sorry. Okay, on my phone, I take photos of every single workshop, and I actually study and I look at the why of our fellow colleagues, our fellow PJ members. It's just really interesting, but that's how we feel it right here, right? And I'm always interested in, what do you think the consumer or your member sees us do every day? Does it match? Do we live that why every day? So we'll get into that a little bit. So at the first break, I'd like to have you post it up there. It's a 7-shot penalty if you forget. Just, you know.
Just 7?
What's that?
Just 7?
Just 7. And then, I know historically the Met section, a lot of private facilities, but if we just go around the room here and just put your hand up, who is at a private facility? Okay. Who would be at what we consider a public facility? Get that blend. Who is, say, non-traditional, or it could be sales rep, or very non-traditional here. So we got a nice little blend. Who's been a PGA member 40 years or more in here? Anybody? I knew it. 40 years?
Yeah, there.
Excellent.
I think
Congratulations.
exactly.
Excellent. Anybody who's 30 to 40? Who's 20 to 30? And then everybody else, 10, 20, or less than 10, right? That's a pretty interesting blend. I don't, whatever it is, I just kind of sort of wondered if it would be even, it was great to see some younger PGA members here today. It really is. It really is. I was in Kentucky a few weeks ago, and there was a PGA member 41 years at the same facility.
Wow, it's different.
Really, you know, it's just a credit to him. My dad was at his facility almost 30 years. So it's, the navigation of board to board and president to president is pretty interesting and brings back a lot of fond memories and not so fond memories of some of the stuff we got to deal with as a family, literally, or me when I get into business work for my dad. Anything else? Anybody that might have won a national award in here? It's an esteemed section. Just kind of curious about that. Patriots fans? Keep you on your toes. Keep you on your toes. Anybody see the game last
Red
night?
Sox?
Red Sox? Yeah.
What game?
Yeah, well, supposedly there was an NFL game last night.
Kiwi football, right?
That's what
Looks terrible.
that's what I heard. So, you know, as we go through today, I want to learn more about what you're doing, what you're going through, the connection to the Greengrass facility, because I'm confident. Rarely will I want to say, Michael, I know this information is really going to help you, but still, what you go through, how do we take great intellectual info, make it make sense for Michael at his facility, and help him put it into action? That's that magical mix right there. A little bit on my background when I first started these, and even the very first one I did was back home in New England, and it was stunning where I've been away from home a while and didn't know a lot of people in the room, so the idea was to just also bring a little bit of my background in briefly in a few slides and get you to feel where I'm coming from. Chris mentioned being grown up in the game of golf. My dad passed away this past May after some illness, so 53-year member of the PGA. He saw a lot of changes. I feel like I have a foot in the old school and a foot in the new school as it bridged through my career. And my dad's, all his cronies, still some living up in New England, and well, I got to show you a few things here, but obviously, that's not the sign we have when you drive up 95 North.
You're killing me here.
Just see when I go to other sections, and it's like pro sports. No, it's all about college. You know the Jayhawks? They got screwed last year. So you never know where you're going. And then, if you need a little help with maybe a.
Oh my God.
If I say something funny, I apologize. But this is the Old North Church, and that's, my dad grew up right off of these stairs, and he used to come down the street, and that's an old cemetery, and he used to chip balls and pitch shots right between the tombstones. He was always a good wedge player, so I couldn't figure it out, but then this explains it, right? You know, you
That's
gotta
cute.
work the wedge. So if you're into history, you know all that happened right down the street there. This is the coolest thing. I've used this photo many, many times, but never so close to where I was born. I was born at Phelps Memorial in Austin. So it's like I'm coming home. This is the coolest thing, right? I mean, I don't know if you know heard of Phelps Memorial. That's me coming out of the hospital. Recreated this with my 3 kids. I don't know if you can tell I'm using a Varden grip right there. It's just how my dad taught me right out of the crib. And that was on Linden Street. I don't know if anybody knows where that is. I'd love to go by it. It's in Tarrytown, I believe. My dad worked at Pines Ridge. That's because I'm getting ready to head to Florida. My dad was kind of an original Bob Ford. He was going to Florida. When he was 26 years old, he was a head pro at a private club in Boston, and he was a head pro at Kenilworth Lodge down in Sebring, Florida. So I grew up going back and forth. I thought that was very normal, pretty natural. And then this is just, I never did see the savings bond, but when I was born, I guess the president or the treasurer at Pines Ridge Golf Club sent a bond, which was nice of him. Anybody familiar with this facility? It's no longer in existence. Has anybody here heard of it? Is it that long ago?
What's the name?
Pines Ridge Golf Club?
And what town?
I believe it was Tarrytown or Austin.
Was it the old, is it the Hudson Hills there?
I don't know. I thought somebody might recognize the name.
Might be part of the Rockefeller Estates, because right up in there is Rockefeller Estates.
Was it?
Yeah.
My dad was assistant there for, I think, a year or 2. That's Jerry Schulteis, who worked for him. And Jerry, that's a photo down in Florida. My dad's on the right, that's Jerry there. I don't know if that name rings a bell with anybody. Just going back and then I thought this was kind of funny. This is, it says Ossipee instead of Ossining. But that's up in Boston, so they, you know, Joe Looney's the writer. He was being a little loony there. And then that's where Kenilworth Lodge is still down there in Sebring. That's where we grew up. We lived in a hotel in the wintertime. It was amazing growing up that way. And my dad was the head pro there. My sisters and I, we grew up there. I'm hoping to bring the bucket hat back into fashionable existence, but lots of photos down there. This was a classic one with Paul Monroe and Bob Gillis, some of the New England PGA pros that were down there, and you know, just throwback era. It's like the Rat Pack. It was like you dressed up and they had the awards dinner and all those things, and the Congo lines through the New Year's Eve, and that's my dad in the middle with his with all the staff down there at the. I remember this guy was the band leader. I'll never forget that guy. He was really cool. So that was my upbringing, and then I played in college, and that's my friend Mal in New England. If you ever see Mal, tell him I'm embarrassing him across the country in his white shorts. Oops, I forgot to silence this. And but importantly, where I was a head pro GM, my first head pro job at River Run had that blend of private, resort, some public. Dean Beeman hired me with Gary Shaw at Cannon Ridge when they opened that facility up in Virginia, Fredericksburg. And then Joe Steranka called me one day as I was walking into the Fredericksburg YMCA to do a presentation to 250 kids. And I looked down, I see Steranka, and I go, "Hey Joe," and he says, "I want to talk about bringing you down to PJ Village. We want traditional, we want a green grass, we want somebody that's not going to sit in an office with a suit to be the GM down there." And I said, "That's not for me. I'm walking in to do this presentation." But I ended up down there, which was a great, fantastic experience. And then Joe called again at the end of 2011, and this Golf 2.0 thing was starting, and they were building out the player development department. So he thought I brought that street credibility, so we started building a team down there, and that's how I ended up in this role. I had no intention ever to work at National. My life, my DNA, my soul, my spirit is right here out this window. But it's just funny how life happens and opportunities come up. It's all good, it's all great. But that's why I love doing these workshops and certainly staying connected with fellow PGA members. This is a photo that's in my office. I look at this every day that I'm down there. That's a friend of mine, Jeff McDaniel. And he lost his legs when he was 9 months old. And so I did a lot of work with the Eastern Amputee Golf Association, Bob Buck, if anybody works with him here. And so that's just me with Jeff, and that guy could hit the ball. He's amazing dexterity and amazing balance. His hands were like this. His whole life he's had to get around on his hands. You know, that's you look at that and you think you're having a bad day. It's not so bad when you see what Jeff's having go through. Certainly, I still teach, I still play in some South Florida PGA events, not like I used to. Job keeps me on the road too much at times, but still try to keep my teaching. You never know when a conquistador is looking for a lesson. You know, the helmet can keep them centered pretty well, but it's kind of tight. You know, they just don't have much flexibility. And then my kids are into golf and having fun. I recently hit 25 years myself as a PGA member. So my background again is deep into the game, and it's varied. And then with Chris, involved governance section president down in Mid-Atlantic. So I feel good that anything that can come up to any questions you have today going forward, I can address them. I can help you with them. I'm not saying I know everything in golf, but I've been around enough that I can help you and help guide you and support you directionally to where I can help you with anything you come up with. And this idea of these play development workshops and where are we, and this level set of the phrase, what comes to your mind when you hear play development, and even when you heard about this, don't be shy. Just what was some of the thoughts that Joshua, you look like you're eager to say.
I'm in trouble now. You're calling on me. I look. It's funny. I look forward to the winter, especially in the Met section, and I applaud every single person in this room, because every winter I get to learn something new. And as soon as the schedule comes out, and as soon as the first person, it's like, wow! I'm like a kid in a candy store. What's new out there that I get to experience, that I get to have a part in, and it is awesome, because it's all about learning. I mean, I love learning about people, because winter time in the Met section is learning time. And
So how the player development phrase, those two words, what do they resonate in your head? What does it mean? What do you think they mean?
there's always something new to learn about my golf swing, about how I play the game, and how to present it better to other people.
Okay. What other comments? What comes to mind, Frank?
I think, well, especially being a college coach, it's all about the process. You said before about getting a little bit better all the time, and it's not just juniors. You know, I think a lot of times you just think about teaching. It's so much more.
So there's some teaching components there.
More like
Any
Bringing new players into the game.
new players?
Exposure.
Jim? Exposure?
Changing attitudes, making it more a family affair, more fun.
Yep. I agree, Max. Yep. Absolutely. The family.
Fun is most important.
Any other comments? Like, when you saw the play development workshop for today, what might have popped in your mind? Okay, spending a day, a valuable day. I got stuff to do. I got things to do. It's the off season. What pops in your head when you saw the word or the phrase play development, Brian?
Ways we can increase the number of players at our facilities and be more valuable to our employers.
Okay. Perfect.
Well, when I read player, I can see it as a players in general or just a specific player. In other words, in my player development could be growing the game in me, or it could be working on how to improve an individual's swing. So to me, it has a growing the game element to it, as well as how to specifically help the players improve.
Very good.
For me, at my stage, it's all about juniors right now.
Okay.
Trying to develop more junior players.
Okay. So that's some good feedback. You agree, Max?
What am I not seeing when I put my programs in me in the mirror? Is there something out there that I'm looking at it that I'm just not seeing?
Like self-evaluation or okay. It's just, you know, it's interesting to hear the phrase when I was in the Mid-Atlantic and even when I was on the board and they hear Bob talking about player development, the eyes would roll, the heads would come back, you get the like knee kind of lean back like, oh yeah, Bob, yeah, he's talking about giving it away again. And that had a connotation for a long time in this player development. But as I said, player development is business development to me. It's all those things you're talking about. I would definitely make it fun. But when you need to get people out on your team, if you're a public facility, if you're teaching, how do you get people back time and time again in your coaching and teaching program? If you're at a private membership, how do you get more people to the facility to join? And even better yet, how do you keep the people there that are already members using the facility more? And then what's the magic golden Willy Wonka ticket thing at private facilities that can make you look like a star? I'm sorry, stop. I'll drop a few in. Putting pressure on that initiation fee. I got a couple ideas to share with you later today on maybe how you could get a level set on an initiation fee at your facility right now. And then as you do things to keep your members happy and create more members, that initiation fee can go up, which is a good thing. You get happy membership. So player development is, it's growing the game, it's that phrase. It can mean different things to different, it's probably 28,000 meanings out there, but it's really, it's business development, it's generating rounds in revenue, and it's, to Brian's point, exactly showing value as you as a PJ member.
For me, it's a huge responsibility because people are counting on me. The dishwashers, caddies, assistant golf professionals, bookkeepers. A lot of people are counting on me and us to develop the game so they can keep their jobs.
There's pressure. I'm glad you said that because I felt that on myself. That was my team. I'm leading the team, but I always felt I had to bring it every day and then some to help everybody.
And even if you're not leading the team, you know, you have a responsibility to grow the game, to help those people out.
You had just mentioned with your membership trying to build a baseline membership fee, initiation, and then increasing it as it goes up. That's not so easy to do, especially in this economy and in this environment. What we're starting to see is actually the opposite, where people have joined at here, they've joined at here, and now new members are coming in at a much lower fee, causing tremendous turmoil. But I see why they're doing it. We need warm bodies who are going to pay something, and their mindset, the owners and clubs, their mindset is some money is better than none. If I don't lower it, I'm not getting any. So it's not. Yeah, I want to hear how you're going to get somebody to pay more money than I'm paying as a member.
Check back in at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, wink, wink, Brett, but your point's valid, very valid. We're finding wonderful success with PGA members that have gone through the workshop, and they're starting to implement and finding these flywheel moments like that are successful at their facility, and then the members are there playing more. And the end result, long story short, is you can get a waiting list. Get a waiting list at a private club. It does put pressure on that initiation fee. Maybe that doesn't go from like 50 to 100 million, but I mean, that makes you look like a star. We'll get into more of that as the day goes on. What image do you see when you look at that? Seagull. Okay. It's a rabbit.
Yeah, it's either a rabbit or a duck taking off.
Rabbit season, duck season.
I just
Rabbit that way or a duck taking off.
just like this visual for player development.
Either a rabbit or a duck taking off that way. I don't know.
Yep. I didn't draw this. But this, to me, drives home a point of player development is different things to different people depending on how you view what you're looking at. What context are you going through with your job, your life. You're going to look at things a little bit differently. And so it doesn't mean, that just means you look at things differently. It's another theme about today, looking at things a little bit differently. So where we're going and why we're having these workshops is to quote unquote grow the game, but it's much, much more than that. Brian touched on it. It's at the end of the day, there's the next slide's coming up, I'll show you the whole day. But this player development, business development, rounds and revenue, showing your value that Bob gets so loved at his facility. Why would anybody, they're not going to say, we want you out of here. He's not a commodity. And building your business at the private club, building your business as a teacher, building your business as a sales rep. Again, this day, as an assistant pro, how many assistants are in here? Fantastic. I love this workshop helping you and showcasing what you can do on your career. I wish we had one of these when I was your age, type of thing. I hate to say that, I'm feeling old, but you're going to leave here today and it'll be refreshing, hopefully. Sean? Yeah. Sean can put in his resume components that he learns from today versus the hygienic checkbox. I oversee this, responsible for that. I've looked at thousands of resumes like many of you in this room, and it's just that kind of white noise of the same old format, the same old resume. At the end of today, going forward, I feel very confident, Sean and others, you're going to build your business, but you can build your career. We've had some PJ members say they've gotten professional development, human, personal development out of today, which is something we didn't plan on, but it's a wonderful thing. So where we're going is to grow your business, to add value as you as a PJ member to your facility, and yeah, certainly grow the game. We certainly want to get more people in the game. This is our yardage book, if you will, through the day. Some segments move a little quicker than others. I'll keep us on play, pace of play. I don't know if we have a course marshal in the room, but I don't have to be at slide 72 at 11:34. This day is about you driving the conversation, you leading the discussion, and I'm going to be the caddy and hopefully pull the right club and showcase and explain some things. But this top row right here, this rethinking why, the consumer, and the role of the PGA member, those are really, really key, important areas. When I get asked about, hey, what's this workshop thing all about? To me, it's perfectly suited, especially maybe for the men's section. It's teaching and playing. It's getting back to what we do best as PGA members. And it's teaching and playing. And I can share lots of stories. We can go back and forth for hours sharing lots of stories of the successes you've had when you really showcase teaching and playing. And when I became a GM and all of a sudden had to worry about the pH of the chlorine in the pool and too much mayonnaise and cucumber, celery in the chicken salad and all these things, you know, I embraced to try to go up to be GM. I wanted to lead the team, but it did take me away from some of the things I did pretty good. And so you learn and you grow and you accept, you know, you just want to go up the career hierarchy. But this really is boiled down to a lot of teaching and playing. And that's what's so exciting about this workshop. Some of these other segments are super important. I have a wicked awesome last two segments. I hope you're still here, still revved up, still in tune. I got some pretty cool stuff at the end of the day too. Okay, any comments or thoughts? I purposely certainly want to stop at different points. And per Jeff, I guess you get rules and regulations. There's no breaks. There's no lunch. You cannot move. You got to sit your ass down. Now we'll take a few breaks. we stop for lunch, so, check emails, things like that. The irony is, as PJ member at the club, I'm always moving around, and like you, and now you're sitting all day, so I'm cognizant of that. If you need to stand up and stretch and kind of do your whatever, dance, feel free to dance, whatever makes you happy. So far, so good? Okay. This is our first segment, quite possibly the most important of the day, because it frames so much. It really frames the day. This can frame your career. This why, this little word why, could change your life, could change your family's life. Personal, I don't want to get too deep here, but it's that kind of powerful segment. We call it Rethinking Why.
It's going up.
Oh, God. I told you, this has got to be, we're gonna have some fun with this. Yeah, Leo.
Over the past couple of years, I've been researching this type of thing you're talking about. And one example for me that really helped me out was Southwest Airlines. They don't just fly people in an airplane. Their why was they move people around the country in an inexpensive manner. So if my aunt in California passes away, it doesn't cost me $1 million to go there, basically. And that was the premise for their airlines. It was a noble reason to start their airline. It wasn't how much money we can make. It was, let's fly people around the country inexpensively so anybody can fly.
I'm so glad you mentioned Southwest. We're big fans, and as we put together this workshop, and we looked at, I scoured YouTube. I found some stuff on YouTube that was like, what is this? Like crazy, but ads, information, things on culture, things on why. I think it was chief marketing officer. One of the chiefs came to PGA headquarters a few years ago. We did these talks with the headquarters staff, and he talked about culture eats breakfast. Strategy eats culture for breakfast. Or no, what's the word? Now I've just butchered that. Basically, it's all about culture. And you have all the best strategy in the world you want. The culture at your facility, the culture at your club, the culture of Southwest. That's what's important. At the end of the day, it's the culture. It's what the human beings are doing. And I could play a lot of these Southwest videos. They're exceptional. We have some different videos and different examples of ads and commercials we're going to play today. Everybody turn around and wave at Brian.
No, it's supposed to look natural.
Okay, let's all look. I just, I want to keep this lighthearted. But I'm glad you mentioned the culture in Southwest, because that is very important. And they know their why, and that why is so important. You know your why as a PGA member. We talked about it earlier. It's different than a goal or a mission. Does the Mets section know their why? Does the PGA of America know its why? In fact, some people. It's interesting, right? I practiced this on my dad before he passed away. It goes back a year, but there's some things that you don't think about. And then he and others have said, like, when are we going to talk about ground force plates and helping somebody take it back straighter and like that's the what, that's the how, and that's going to explain that a little bit. But this why, if you get your why, it's like your true north compass. And it'll help you as a person. It can help your family. It can help your business. Again, journalism major, dropping in some quotes. But to me, we in this room, many of us have to do some things to break through from the old thinking. And there's still some people in high power positions in golf that helped us get into serve positions or management positions at facilities, and they're not open to a growth mindset, and they're still thinking the Einstein theory of insanity. So that's where hopefully I can help you. And it's not to get on my high horse, but my past being a GM at PGA Village especially, or being a GM for Dean Beeman and Gary Shaw, if I talk to another general manager, it helps. You sometimes gotta drop in some ammunition to help in that regard. So I need your help for this golf industry to move forward. At the very least, we've seen more acceptance of this in daily life at a facility. Okay, next item I need your help on first sheet, as you flip through, we're gonna, with the time today, normally we do all three, but this is a tie-in to why are you a PGA professional? So I'd like you to focus on the image in the top left box right there. Top left, yeah. It says describe what image you would want to be placed there. This image is your image of you at your facility every day. Maybe some similarities to why are you a PGA professional, but it can be, I've seen some PGA members with exceptional artistic ability. If you want to draw something, that's fantastic. Really fantastic. Some of our fellow PGA members are exquisite. But this is more descriptive. And so, what's the image that Michael is trying to portray every day at his facility? Or what's in Michael's heart that this is the image I want to show every day at my facility? For example, we didn't set this up, but Michael told me earlier, his image, ideally, is in his office, on the phone, paying invoices, HR issues. Like that's just, yeah, love that. That's just one example of an image that, if you want to steal it, that's fine. Or possibly smiling, high-fiving on the lesson team. I don't know. Take a minute or two and write down your image. As you finish that up, anybody want to lead off? Again, like we did before, I'd love to get a few comments. There's still more than a few volunteers. Yeah, John.
I kind of broke it down into 3 sections. One being I want to be a teacher and a fitter, let them know that I'm going to excel at that. A player, and then I want them to know that I'm their PGA professional friend at the facility.
We got welcoming, personal, well-groomed, leader, and organized.
Getting back to the Maya Angelou quote you had there, how you make people feel.
Right.
I had a kind of the Cheers thought in mind, Sam Malone kind of a thing, where people come in, he might be good at his job, but the enjoyment people have coming in there, they're comfortable, they're welcome, everyone knows your name. That's the type of an image, not that I would be the Sam Malone character, but
There's some similarities, right?
I don't pitch. But,
So you do like stuff from Boston. That's good enough.
I think they told it, it was part of the live video audience.
You never get
California. But, you know, they'll come to know what my skills are after they feel welcome and at ease.
Then you make that emotional connection. Yep. Awesome. A few more. Who else? Anthony? Or anybody?
I'm Anthony. I wrote basically the same thing, just, accessible, always accessible and easy to approach. You know, just, there's no dumb questions. You can come over, don't feel embarrassed. And all skill levels, ability level, just there, just to be there. And just to be more, you know, be there, but be accessible.
This table?
I just put down mentor. I think there's very, at least from all of the college kids that I see, I don't think there's many mentors around there.
Community builder.
Good one. Yeah, Joshua?
James and I came up with
Oh, you did do a drawing.
Yeah, we both James and I came up with good images.
Oh, look at this. Yeah. Oh, high five to James. Love it.
James was better than I was.
I have to take a photo of that later. Which one? We will take a team photo at some point.
I put a picture of me playing the guitar because I'm trying to. I think there are so many images that people have already of a PGA Pro. I think we can think of all those specific images, and they're all very similar. But I think people need to think more about having fun and being creative and doing something different. And I think it gives a little more personality sometimes to go in a different direction.
Love it out. Yeah. Oh, I thought somebody.
I'll go. A person with calmness ability. I mean, I'm a little unique. I work at a military facility. So people come to our place to forget about things. I want to be that person just to help them forget about things.
That's really. Anybody here serve in the military? By chance? Military veterans. We've got Pearl Harbor coming up tomorrow. So. The proposition, your call to action, definitely think that through. But just for today, the one-day workshop, this image that similar to the why, and I hear phrases and terms and imagery same as the image. There's a theme. Every PJ section, all the PJ members that I talk to, I hear, and it's so uniform, going down one lane, if you will. And I'm just curious, do you think the people that come into our shop every day, they see what you wrote down? They understand and believe what you wrote down? Or do you live that? Do you live your image? Do you live your why every day? Or is it, and I'm going to do this frequently, that I'll put my hand up because I screwed up and I messed up. And many times I wanted to do this image or feel this why, but really busy, on the go, and yeah, okay, Brian, yeah, I'll see you later, Mr. Kroll. I've got a meeting, and I got to get to this, and you're always on the go, and you're always here and there, and we're doing things that really drive the business. Are there some things we can delegate that don't specifically need so much oversight and so much time consumption as a PGA member? Just throwing out some thoughts and questions. There's a slide coming up later that talks to that. What do we do as PGA members every day that can drive business, drive rounds and revenue? Does your image maybe match your best talents to drive revenue? Or we all can't be like Michael in the back office looking at invoices on the phone all day. I'm jealous. You know I'm jealous. Is that his best expertise to drive member retention? Put pressure right on that initiation fee if things can line up the right way. So today, again, growth mindset, thinking things through. Believe me, I was in the Mid-Atlantic, I don't know if you remember, Chris, but that one badge poster came out, and I put it on the back of my business card. And I should probably bring some with me, but it was in PJ Magazine a couple times, did that Pro to Pro, and I was proud of all the things I did. And then years later I looked and I went, yeah, I can do all those, but should I do them all? Is it really healthy for me in my business? What's my best expertise? Is it better to be a little more focused on things and drive the business than the poster? And I was on the National PR Committee. I was actually chair of the National PR Committee for some years. And we were proud of that thing, and it seemed to make sense. And I used to hand it out and go, hey Steve, hi, nice to meet you, Bob Baldasari. And you'd see my one badge poster there. And people would go, well, what is this? And I go, it's everything I do every day. I can do all that, and I can leap over, I just was proud of all the things, and we multitask, and that's just part of the deal, and having leisurely 4 o'clock lunches every day, right? So you got a million things going on. Or is a million things going on the right thing as a PGA member every single day? There's lots of ways we need to run the business and do some admin, yeah. Not shirking that responsibility at all. But day in and day out, how much of a time suck, how much of a spirit suck, how much of a suck is it that you're going away from your core expertise that then drives the business, that then equals job security. So just think that through a little bit for you. Just rethinking why, your facilities why. Again, it's undercurrent throughout today. I'm going to play a video. The neat thing is more and more sections, more and more PGA members have seen this. But it might have been one time a year ago. Maybe you've never seen it, but it frames the context of what we go over today. It's one of the TED Talks. It's an early TED Talk. I don't know if you've ever watched YouTube, the TED Talks. They're fantastic. There's like 1 million. There might literally be 1 million TED Talks. They're just fantastic. This is one from Simon Sinek, and he calls it the Golden Circle and finding your why. Whether you're a business, a leader, finding your why, it's like the biggest first step. It's getting you on that true north compass to help you as a PGA member, your facility, your family, as I said before. I played this video for my wife and kids. What's our family why? It's interesting. It's about 17, 18 minutes long. It moves along nicely. Halfway through, he switches the microphone so that the speaker gets a little bit better, or the audio, but it's good. But of all the videos today, this is by far the longest. But just do your best to stay in tune, stay connected to this video, soak it in. If you've seen it before, watch it again. Then watch it again. And watch it again. I could probably recite it word for word. I've watched this thing 70, 80 times. But it's good. It still fills you up. So on the other side of this, we're going to take a chat with your perspective on this, finding your why, and then we'll take a break after that. You got that right in the back?
How do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet, they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered man flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered man flight? The Wright brothers beat them to it. There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery. And this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the Golden Circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making flat-screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products. And nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Here's the best part. None of what I'm telling you is my opinion. It's all grounded in the tenets of biology, not psychology, biology. If you look at a cross-section of the human brain, looking from the top down, what you see is the human brain is actually broken into three major components that correlate perfectly with the golden circle. Our newest brain, our Homo sapien brain, our neocortex, corresponds with the what level. The neocortex is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, and our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making, and it has no capacity for language. In other words, when we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. You know, sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart, or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal and want to be a part of what it is that you do? Again, the goal is not just to sell people who need what you have. The goal is to sell to people who believe what you believe. The goal is not just to hire people who need a job. It's to hire people who believe what you believe. I always say that, if you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they work for you with blood and sweat and tears. And nowhere else is there a better example of this than with the Wright brothers. Most people don't know about Samuel Pierpont Langley. And back in the early 20th century, the pursuit of powered man flight was like the .com of the day. Everybody was trying it. And Samuel Pierpont Langley had what we assume to be the recipe for success. I mean, even now, you ask people, why did your product or why did your company fail? And people always give you the same permutation of the same three things. Undercapitalized, the wrong people, bad market conditions. It's always the same three things. So let's explore that. Samuel Pierpont Langley was given $50,000 by the War Department to figure out this flying machine. Money was no problem. He held a seat at Harvard and worked at the Smithsonian and was extremely well connected. He knew all the big minds of the day. He hired the best minds money could find, and the market conditions were fantastic. The New York Times followed him around everywhere, and everyone was rooting for Langley. And how come we've never heard of Samuel Pierpont Langley? A few hundred miles away in Dayton, Ohio, Orville and Wilbur Wright. They had none of what we consider to be the recipe for success. They had no money. They paid for their dream with the proceeds from their bicycle shop. Not a single person on the Wright brothers team had a college education, not even Orville or Wilbur. And the New York Times followed them around nowhere. The difference was Orville and Wilbur were driven by a cause, by a purpose, by a belief. They believed that if they could figure out this flying machine, it'll change the course of the world. Samuel Pierpont Langley was different. He wanted to be rich, and he wanted to be famous. He was in pursuit of the result. He was in pursuit of the riches. And lo and behold, look what happened. The people who believed in the Wright brothers' dream worked with them with blood and sweat and tears. The others just worked for the paycheck. And they tell stories of how every time the Wright brothers went out, they would have to take 5 sets of parts because that's how many times they would crash before they came in for supper. And eventually, on December 17th, 1903, the Wright brothers took flight. And no one was there to even experience it. We found out about it a few days later. And further proof that Langley was motivated by the wrong thing, the day the Wright brothers took flight, he quit. He could have said, that's an amazing discovery, guys, now I will improve upon your technology. But he didn't. He wasn't first, he didn't get rich, he didn't get famous, so he quit. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And if you talk about what you believe, you will attract those who believe what you believe. Well, why is it important to attract those who believe what you believe? Something called the law of diffusion of innovation. And if you don't know the law, you definitely know the terminology. The first 2.5% of our population are our innovators. The next 13.5% of our population are our early adopters. The next 34% are your early majority, your late majority, and your laggards. The only reason these people buy touch-tone phones is because you can't buy rotary phones anymore. We all sit at various places at various times on the scale, but what the law of diffusion of innovation tells us is that if you want mass market success or mass market acceptance of an idea, you cannot have it until you achieve this tipping point between 15 and 18% market penetration, and then the system tips. And I love asking businesses, what's your conversion on new business? And they love to tell you, oh, it's about 10%, proudly. Well, you can trip over 10% of the customers. We all have about 10% who just get it. That's how we describe them, right? That's like that gut feeling, oh, they just get it. The problem is, how do you find the ones that just get it before you're doing business with them versus the ones who don't get it? So it's this here, this little gap, that you have to close, as Jeffrey Moore calls it, crossing the chasm. Because you see, the early majority will not try something until someone else has tried it first. And these guys, the innovators and the early adopters, they're comfortable making those gut decisions. They're more comfortable making those intuitive decisions that are driven by what they believe about the world, and not just what product is available. These are the people who stood online for 6 hours to buy an iPhone when they first came out, when you could have just walked into the store the next week and bought one off the shelf. These are the people who spent $40,000 on flat screen TVs when they first came out, even though the technology was substandard. And by the way, they didn't do it because the technology was so great. They did it for themselves. It's because they wanted to be first. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves what you believe. In fact, people will do the things that prove what they believe. The reason that person bought the iPhone in the first 6 hours, or stood in line for 6 hours, was because of what they believed about the world and how they wanted everybody to see them. They were first. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So let me give you a famous example, a famous failure and a famous success of the law of diffusion of innovation. First, the famous failure. It's a commercial example. As we said before a second ago, the recipe for success is money and the right people and the right marketing conditions, right? You should have success then. Look at TiVo. From the time TiVo came out about 8 or 9 years ago to this current day, they are the single highest quality product on the market. Hands down, there is no dispute. They were extremely well funded. Market conditions were fantastic. I mean, we use TiVo as a verb. I like TiVo stuff on my piece of junk Time Warner DVR all the time. But TiVo is a commercial failure. They've never made money. And when they went IPO, their stock was at about $30 or $40, then plummeted, and it's never traded above 10. In fact, I don't think it's even traded above 6, except for a couple of little spikes. Because you see, when TiVo launched their product, they told us all what they had. They said, we have a product that pauses live TV, skips commercials, rewinds live TV, and memorizes your viewing habits without you even asking. And the cynical majority said, we don't believe you, we don't need it, we don't like it, you're scaring us. What if they had said, if you're the kind of person who likes to have total control over every aspect of your life, boy, do we have a product for you. It pauses live TV, skips commercials, memorizes your viewing habits, etc., etc. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, and what you do simply serves as the proof of what you believe. Now let me give you a successful example of the law of diffusion of innovation. In the summer of 1963, 250,000 people showed up on the Mall in Washington to hear Dr. King speak. They sent out no invitations, and there was no website to check the date. How do you do that? Well, Dr. King wasn't the only man in America who was a great orator. He wasn't the only man in America who suffered in a pre-civil rights America. In fact, some of his ideas were bad, but he had a gift. He didn't go around telling people what needed to change in America. He went around and told people what he believed. I believe, I believe, I believe, he told people. And people who believed what he believed took his cause and they made it their own, and they told people. And some of those people created structures to get the word out to even more people. And lo and behold, 250,000 people showed up on the right day, on the right time, to hear him speak. How many of them showed up for him? 0. They showed up for themselves. It's what they believed about America that got them to travel on a bus for 8 hours to stand in the sun in Washington in the middle of August. It's what they believed, and it wasn't about black versus white. 25% of the audience was white. Dr. King believed that there are 2 types of laws in this world, those that are made by a higher authority and those that are made by man. And not until all the laws that are made by man are consistent with the laws that are made by the higher authority, will we live in a just world? It just so happens that the civil rights movement was the perfect thing to help him bring his cause to life. We followed him not for him, but for ourselves. And by the way, he gave the I have a dream speech, not the I have a plan speech. Listen to politicians now with their comprehensive 12-point plans. They're not inspiring anybody. Because there are leaders and there are those who lead. Leaders hold a position of power or authority, but those who lead inspire us. Whether they're individuals or organizations, we follow those who lead, not because we have to, but because we want to. We follow those who lead, not for them, but for ourselves. And it's those who start with why that have the ability to inspire those around them or find others who inspire them. Thank you very much.